Hello, everybody. It's Royce here, and I want to welcome you all to my new YouTube channel, which is the Four Horses. We've rebranded. I know many of you have heard about it already. I'm going to explain it before I do anything else because it needs to be explained, and it has to do with how many people we're going to have on the show every week and things like that. So it's really important that we get into that. First of all, I want to thank everybody that's here tonight. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Love the chat and everybody that comes here. And well, to start off with, okay, I've been Royce in the house for over 5 years. It was never meant to be permanent. And I've been, all of a sudden it just hit me. It's time to rebrand. It's time to try to take the channel to another level, grow the channel, add added value as far as the entertainment's concerned. And so what we've done is we've developed a new title, The Four Horsemen. And of course, most people think the four horses of the apocalypse in the book of Revelations. I won't say that none of the ideas came from there, don't get me wrong, but this is not a religious or a political channel. We don't talk religion here. We don't talk politics here. We're just here to entertain, have fun, and we hope we can entertain, okay? So to start out with, we're going to have four people on the panel. What you're looking at right now, Michael and Dan and myself, are three permanent members of the Four Horsemen. Okay, we all have our own colored horse. We all have our own name, and I'm going to let everybody say that for themselves. I think a lot of you have seen Michael's message moments ago. But anyway, so I'm the black horse, and my name is the Resurrection. Okay, and I'll let Dan and Michael speak for themselves. And when I say resurrection, you know what, guys? This is where my tie-in comes with that. I'm constantly reading YouTube titles. You know, rock and roll is dead. Rock and roll is dead. Rock and roll is getting ready to be dead. Rock and roll is dead. I see this over and over and over again. And you know what? Let's resurrect rock. I've been listening. I think all of us on the panel right now have been listening to many of the same songs. I mean, think about 1964. That was the British invasion. Are we not listening to songs from 64 and 65? How many years is that? I mean, my God, that's like 60 years we've been listening. We've added new music, of course we have, but we've also been listening to the music that we started to love early in life for 60 years. I want to keep that alive, and that's what I mean about the resurrection. I'm tired of hearing about rock being dead. I hope in 60 years people are still listening to the music that I love, and I really hope that that happens. So let's go on a little bit here. Let's talk about why the rebranding. Okay, so Royce in the house, as I've already mentioned, has rebranded. We are now the Four Horsemen. Why the Four Horsemen? The Four Horsemen works well for a rock and roll, classic rock, and heavy metal podcast because it evokes a sense of power, intensity, and rebellion, which are all core elements of those genres. Okay, it's also a catchy and memorable, and it immediately conveys the tone and attitude of our podcast. Okay, so we're going to be bold, we're going to be unapologetic, and we're going to take care of business. The podcast is about the heavy hitters of these genres, the biggest names, the most influential bands and events in classic rock. Okay, it also suggests the podcast at times will be exploring the darker and edgier side of the genre. Okay, the songs that have stood the test of time. We're all about the songs that have stood the test of time. We won't be discussing religion or politics, as I previously mentioned, even though the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse is kind of where the idea came from. However, in the apocalypse sense, each of the Four Horsemen represents something, things such as conquest, war, famine, death. That's why I'm the resurrection and I'm on the black horse. So for entertainment value, we will incorporate names of each of the panelists. We will all have a colored horse and a name. The podcast aims to bring the same energy and passion to the discussion of classic rock and metal. The same energy and passion that we've always had for our rock and roll. We just love our rock and roll. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move across over to Warhorse, Defender of Rock, And Michael, you can let us know how you settled on Warhorse and what was in your head when you picked that. I
Well,
know. Okay.
how am I coming across, Royce? How's my
Oh,
voice?
loud and clear.
Yeah,
Perfect.
okay, because we didn't get a chance to get up and do that test we do usually.
That's right. That's right.
Well, yeah, actually, I didn't come up with the name. I've always been War Horse Royce. I've been masquerading as Michael Nolan, the bottom line, the whole time.
I
Uh,
heard that.
tonight is
Yes.
tonight is my unmasking. No, seriously, when Royce came up with this idea, like I said, and I've said many times, and I know him and Dan have been going back and forth as well, right? But Royce and I have been brainstorming how to launch this, what would do. And I told him the second that he decided this, I go, I'll tell you right now, I choose the red horse, and my name will be War Horse. And the
Right.
reason I choose that is, first of all, I wore red tonight. First of all,
Right.
nobody noticed that on my stream, Royce. But see, because I was in my secret identity. But no, the reason I did that is I think out of the panel that we've had up here from week to week, it would be easily said that I'm the one with probably the more fiery disposition, ready to go to war to defend rock. As a matter of fact, Royce, it's interesting how we're launching this tonight. No, just on my last stream, I told everybody that I got criticism for being too negative in one of my latest videos, and he went off to go see another creator that basically criticizes rock himself. So I didn't understand what that was, and part of the thing is I see. Uh, the way I look at this, we are on the verge of the apocalypse of rock. All right, I've said it on my channel before.
I
Rock and
know. I
roll is
know.
like a patient in ICU.
I see
It's
you.
being
Right.
fed intravenously. It's not dead, but we're on. So, some people even saying, and the apocalypse in the Bible is keyed into the last days. And I've said that
Yes.
in the past. And I am ready to go to war with the powers that be every single time when they diminish rock, they bottleneck rock, and they redefine it. So Warhorse fits just fine with me, brother.
Absolutely, man. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dan, you've chosen a horse and a name for the show. Let's hear about that a little bit. Before
Well,
wait before you start, I just want to say Dan was instrumental, as well as Michael, in creating the picture of the four horsemen. We struggled with that to get as much as we could in because it's a square peg, like Dan said, in a round hole. All of the messages, when I look in the chat to the left margin, everybody is a little circle. Now we're trying to fit a square in that, and you got to make it smaller to make it fit. So anyway, we struggled, and Dan did a fantastic job. Michael had a lot of suggestions. We worked it through, and yeah, it was a team effort here. I will tell you that right
And
now.
it's still a work in progress,
It's
folks.
still a work in progress. There could be some
Yeah.
changes.
Yep.
And I want to know that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
well, I decided, if you've watched the show before, I'm always wearing black. So,
Yeah.
so tonight I'm wearing white. I'm the white horse. And I selected the Conquest name because in my personal life, I've always sought out conquest. I've
Right.
always, a new project, something new all the time. And
Right.
Yeah.
that's
Right.
basically where I came out with conquest, and so I'm always looking for something new. And I think rebranding this is a really great idea.
Yeah. I love it.
So that's basically,
And we need a
Okay.
conquester too, Dan. We need, to toss, LL Cool J out on his ear of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
yeah.
We need some conquest in rock right now. We
Right.
really do.
Well, I also want to say that when Dan said conquest to me, my mouth dropped open because the day before I was thinking that's what I would pick.
Ah,
But I didn't. I
Right.
didn't want to. I just didn't want to grab everything and say, "Hey guys, guess what? I'm this and I have that. And this is the color of my horse." So I said to Dan, "I said, Dan, you pick first. I'll take what's left."
Well,
Hey,
that's
Royce, actually, Resurrection works real well with you because you're the hope of the channel,
I'm the
right?
hope. That's right.
And
Yeah.
you're probably the most reasonable voice out of us. You get less chaffed, than the rest of us a little bit. You're
Right.
so easygoing. I think Resurrection. What a wonderful name.
I thought
also,
it, I thought it was a good one.
Yeah.
when I was doing a little research on the Four Horsemen, especially the white horse, they had a couple of names for it. One of them was Conquest, the other one was Pestilence. I
Right.
said, you know what? I like Conquest better than Pestilence. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the name that went with the black horse was Death, but I liked Resurrection better than Death.
No, I thought that was a cool turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I want to resurrect rock. But one more thing I want to say, guys, to all my friends, backstage, I could see a Dawson, I could see a Johnny L. Novice Nick might have been there a little bit ago. We are limiting the panel to 4 people. We've got the 3 permanent members right now. That could change at some point to 4 permanent members. But then we have where Chris is sitting right now. Chris is in the guest spot. Every week we'll have a new guest from amongst you guys come up and join the panel, and we'll just kind of rotate that around, and everybody can enjoy it. So anyway,
And before everybody gets their panties in a twist, going, "Oh no, that's going to cut away my time," you'll notice tonight, Chris will have a lot more airtime tonight, not battling on a 5 or 6 or 7 member panel. So we're hoping that's going to
yeah,
even it out a little bit. And when you do get a chance to get on up here as a co-host, then you'll be able to have more time to discuss what you want and everything else. We're trying to create a dialogue here, folks, and you are watching Royce create this with us, helping him, right in front of your eyes. So you're not going to be hearing a whole lot about who chose what name or anything. From this point on, we're going to just seep into our identities, right? And we're going to embrace this whole idea. So we're inviting all of you to embrace the whole concept. Keep supporting Royce. If you didn't get a chance to get up tonight, check out next week's stream. All right. And then you get you'll get a special introduction. And I can't think of a better person to start off the 4th position here than Chris, who's been here more than probably anybody else other than me or Royce in the last 2 years. And as much as Royce and I and Dan in the last year since, or 6 months since Stan's come back. So,
well, something else too,
appropriate.
You're limited to 4 panelists, and the 4th one will be a guest panelist. Well, there's going to be times too where I might not be able to make it to a show, so that'll open it up to to a 3rd and 4th panelist.
Well, possibly. We, there could be shows where I'm up here all by myself with 1 guest, like I said, and that's okay too. I like the idea of controlling it because I hope I didn't step on you just now, but we're trying to, we're all stepping on each other when there's 6 people up here. It's just too much. Yeah. The pictures are all small. It just gets a little too jumbled for what I like. This is more organized. It's more concise. And
more people are watching streams on televisions, and so you want the visual presentation to be as appetizing as it can be with a fuller picture and everything.
Yeah.
So
you want people to come back. So what I want to say first of all is Michael Boswell, a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it. He says, our generation will not sustain rock, boomers and Gen X. It is for the younger generation to do that, to do with it as they see fit. It may look very different after we're gone. Well, I know. And like I said, I named myself Resurrection because I want to keep this rock alive to the extent that we can. I've really enjoyed it. And Michael, thank you so much. So,
personally, I think it is up to the younger generation to keep it going, but it's up to us people who experienced it to pass on that knowledge to the younger generation as well.
Exactly.
We
should be playing the elders of rock. That should be our role for those of us who have the information to pass it on. It's called
Right.
curating the art. And that's kind of what Royce and I, on both of our channels, have been trying to go forward with anyway, to curate it. Its first time period has been over at least since 2010, but 2005, by my estimation, there's still hope for a new generation to bubble up. But it's in critical care, folks. And so,
Yeah.
but that does not lessen what we're talking about.
No.
These are the stories that will entertain millions for decades, yet centuries to come.
No, that's exactly right. And I tell you what, I'm going to be honest with you. I've got grandkids, 18 and 16 and going on 19, and
Me
they
too.
are one tough nut to crack.
Jeez, tell me about it.
It's like, hey, London, you want to listen to some Led Zeppelin? No, I'm going to go on my phone. You know? Yeah, no. So anyway, you really have to work them. I had him in here the other day saying, "Hey, Papa, which is your most valuable album?" I pulled out my old White Album and says, "Maybe this one." But anyway, so it's a tough nut to crack. So we've got to have a breakthrough. I mean, I remember when Lou Mars was on the channel. He says, "Royce, I'm going to restart a band. I need to be able to connect with like 6,000 young people." I don't know if that's ever happened. He's coming out with a new album right now.
Yeah.
He's got some songs, and it sounds good. It does.
Oh, I've kept up with his songs as he's released them. Every time I'm subscribed to Lou. Lou and I never saw eye to eye 100%, but I always saw him as a worthy opponent.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No, seriously. Even when I felt like I might have won the argument, I always had to concede that he had a pretty damn good one, at least. He's very knowledgeable, very personable. He was a lot of fun on the stream while he was up. There was no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, he came back once for becoming
a special episode.
Becoming Led Zeppelin. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, so Natalie, hey, thank you so much, Natalie. Appreciate it big time. We really do. So yeah, and really glad you're here regardless. I mean, we love
You're awesome, Natalie. Seriously.
We just have the best chat. I mean, Rock and Robin Bird, Johnny L's over here, and Jeffrey Flint, Chris Barlow. I saw Oberheim on your channel, Brandon Oberheim, Michael.
Yeah, I saw him too. I didn't get to him in the chat. It was good to see him.
Yeah, I hadn't seen him in a while. Got James Watson here. Awesome, brother.
Well, Obi is pretty good. Brandon's pretty good. Shorthand Oberheim, but he's pretty good to, if he's at another stream or something, he always checks me out in the reruns. I always appreciate that.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of it, Michael, has to do with what I've picked up with his work schedule. Okay.
Yeah. He watches most of our streams at work.
Yeah, at work. I'm not sure what he does, but he's in Australia. Different. I mean, maybe 9 in the morning. Who knows?
Well, it's sometime between the morning and like early afternoon right now, as memory serves. And on top of that, it's tomorrow. It's not even Sunday anymore.
but he does. There's been times where he's come on and go, "Hey, Royce, don't go off yet. I'm at work, and this helps me get through the night or the day, whatever it was. It helps me deal with work, being able to listen to you and watch a little bit on my phone while you're working, which
only goes to prove a point that I've said many times. Australians have learned to travel backwards in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have. I love Australians, and I've told that.
Oh, me too. My kind of people.
I love the way they do things over there. I was at Noosa Heads surfing, but anyway, that's not what the show's about. Let's just go on. That's where we get carried away, or I do anyway.
Well, who is our fourth horseman here anyway, Royce?
Okay, our fourth horseman. We have one horse left, and it's a pale horse. And just think about, if you have an idea what you'd like to call yourself as the fourth horseman, and just bring that back with you every time. And of course, change it. You're being put on the spot right now once you've given it some time.
Well, today I'll be the horse with no name. I'll ride in, kick ass, and ride out the sunset.
I love it, Chris.
No
I
name.
love it.
How perfect
love
is that? Yeah. So do I. You've been through the desert on a horse with no name. That's great, man. Man, that's thinking on your feet, bro.
Really,
so anyway,
seriously.
what do you think about the rebranding we're doing here?
I think it's a good idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I was briefly in on some of the conversations with you and Michael, and I think it's a good idea. It freshens it up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And it kind of brings
a
little more intrigue when you hear the Four Horsemen as opposed to Royce in the House. Nothing against Royce in the House.
No, I'm not offended. I don't know why it took me so long to do this.
I mean, it's a better grab, you know.
Yeah, I remember when the Royce in the House. I remember when the Royce in the House name first popped up years ago.
Yeah, over at who's.
Yeah.
Steffens, yeah, and Royce in the House popped up. Okay, how did I get started? I was at my construction sites, and I'm filming myself working. You know, I stand in front of it for a while, then film what I'm doing, then talk some more, and then film what I'm doing. And so I started putting on construction how-to videos. In fact, I really tracked an entire several $100,000 remodel I did. We completely tore the house apart and rebuilt it. I mean, it was a lot of work, and it wasn't cheap, but I was the low bid, so I wasn't expensive. It was just an expensive job. So anyway, so I started doing these kinds of things. Then Betty and I would be out, you know, doing things, traveling someplace, going up to Monterey or whatever. And I started making travel videos. So that was me in the beginning, Royce Construction and travel videos.
That's how I found Royce, by the way, folks. I found him through, I watched a couple, but the first one I actually left a comment was on his travel video of the Haight-Ashbury district in San Francisco. Yeah, and we struck up a friendship over that video. That's how I met him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. That was a fun one. I think I took my wife to San Francisco. She was going to fly to her sister's house in Texas, and Spring, Texas. And while she was, after I dropped her off, I go, well, what am I going to do with my time here? And I went over to Haight-Ashbury and made a video on the Summer of Love, 1967, when 100,000 people migrated to that area. Okay, but anyway, so Chris, it's good to see you tonight. Like I said, until we wind up with a fourth permanent member, we'll just kind of rotate amongst the guys that have always come on the show, and even some new people. Hope that doesn't offend anybody. It's just I just feel a calmness here with four people. You know? I don't know about you, Dan. It seems a little calmer, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, yeah. Like you said, you know, it gets a little difficult when people are stepping on each other.
Oh yeah, I was going to say you look like you're about to fall asleep. No, I'm just kidding. Talk about calm, right? Okay, so hey, look at this. Michael Boswell's just come in. Thanks, Michael. We really
awesome, Michael. Thank you.
Well, that's the second one tonight. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's amazing, brother. We appreciate it. And so here we are. We have a show to do tonight. We're going to be talking about Woodstock. Woodstock turned 56 years old within this past week. 56. Imagine that. And boy, that was a long time ago. And one of the things I'm going to focus on, we want to, you know, kind of go over Woodstock. Most people have knowledge of it. Watch the documentary. I have the documentary, you know, in my bedroom right now.
Literally just
I've had it for probably 20 years. Yeah, that's the same one I have. Yeah, I should have brought that with me. Oh well, you've got one. That's it. So anyway, so we're a lot of us are kind of caught up on Woodstock to some degree, but 56 years. I had to do something, but I wanted to put a twist on it. So one of the things I want to do. Once we kind of cover the bases on what Woodstock was, what it was all about, and the things that went on there, I want to get into who were the people, the bands that were asked to come to Woodstock that for whatever reason declined and why they declined. So I have a list of names. I can't say that it's 100% everybody that was offered to play at Woodstock, but I have a big list of names and the reasons why they turned it down. And it's really a mixed bag, you know. So anyway, let's get right into that. And I think most of us know it's called Woodstock, but it wasn't held in Woodstock, New York. It was held in Bethel, New York. But they kept the name Woodstock. Somehow that just kind of resonated. Maybe it was because of all the advertising they'd already done and brochures and whatever the case may be. But Woodstock didn't want to have something like that. And they passed ordinance real quick to not permit anything like that to take place in Woodstock. And so they were searching and searching and searching. And I know Dan has actually put venues together. So we're going to be deferring to Dan in just a moment to talk a little bit about putting the whole thing together and how it came together and what it meant. But so they were looking around. They were having a hard time finding something. And an old farmer stepped up. And I think it was it, Dan, a 600-acre farm?
No, it's much larger than that. Way larger.
Much larger than that. Okay.
The parking lot was 600 acres.
Yeah.
including the New York freeway.
Good. That's why I was going to move your way on this. Okay. So
the stage was 600 acres.
The stage, yeah. They were finally introduced to Max Yasgur, a farmer in Bethel, and he agreed to rent his 600-acre dairy farm for the event. And the festival came, of course, the name stayed the same. So, Dan, I'm going to go ahead and let you talk about this a little bit because I know you've put venues on and I know you have a lot of knowledge on this.
Yeah, to me, you know, since I was a festival organizer for 12 years, so I know what it takes to put on a festival.
Yes.
And so I was real curious. So I did a lot of research about Woodstock to see what things they had to come up against and what they had to do, and you know all the obstacles they had to overcome.
Yeah.
And actually, I wanted to know at the very beginning how they came up with the idea for the concert. And what it was, there was two guys, Michael Lang and Jack Rosenman. They had a recording studio in Manhattan and they wanted to expand to Miami. So they got a couple of other investors in there. What's his name? John Roberts and Artie Kornfeld.
Okay.
And so they wanted to have them invest. They wanted to build a recording studio in Woodstock. That's how it all started off, because Bob Dylan lived in Woodstock, and they thought, well, that'd be a good area to put a recording studio. So they kept negotiating how they were going to do this deal, and they came up with an idea. They said, well, let's build the recording studio, and once the recording studio is done, let's have a little concert to celebrate the recording studio. And they figured they'd have 5,000, maybe 25,000 people show up for this party. And then they decided, you know what, let's have the concert first and take the profits from the concert to build a recording studio. And so that's what they agreed to. So they went out and they were looking for some property. And they actually, I think they went to 4 different properties. First of all, Woodstock, someone had some property there, but they only had like 10 acres. So that Woodstock was out. So they went to another place, and it looked like it was going to be a pretty good deal, but it just didn't work out. Then they went to a third place, and I think, where was that? That was in I can't remember right offhand. Socrates, New York. They went to Socrates, New York, and they had an agreement. Things looked good. Everybody was all for it. They started construction on the concert, on the stage and everything else. They spent $500,000 invested in this one site. But then the townspeople decided they changed their mind. We don't want those hippies. No. We don't want those hippies here. They even went as far as the city council got together and passed a law saying you can have the concert, but the sound can't emanate more than 10 feet from the concert site, which is impossible. So basically, these people came after them with pitchforks and torches. You're not doing it. So they went to a realtor and said they were all searching all over New York trying to find a perfect spot for it. And they finally found a realtor. They said, well, I can show you some places. And they said, you know, I know a guy named Max Yasgur that has a dairy farm that might be interested. So they go to Max Yasgur, and they showed him one area of his farm, and it was just totally flat. And they said, well, this is nice. It's a good area, but it's flat. You know, we need something more of a contour, more of like a hole. He goes, I got the perfect spot. So they drive up, and once they got to the spot, Michael Lang looked at it and said, this is home. This is where we're going to have it. And so they end up, another issue they had, see, they already started selling tickets at Socrates, New York. They sold like $1 million worth of tickets to the other site.
Wow.
Now of course, back in those days there was no internet, so now they have to let all these people that bought these tickets know that the venue had changed to another city, and that was the big headache they had. And so there was a whole lot. I mean, I could go on for a long time about what all happened.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, all the obstacles they had to overcome. Well, what I thought was funny, something I had to deal with one time is porta potties. Yet they're good, and they didn't really see. They were expecting maybe 100,000 people, and that was their first mistake. You know, that's one thing when you organize a festival, you really don't know how many people are going to show up. So you got to kind of estimate and make make all your adjustments according to your estimates. So they were under. Well, if we have 100,000 people, and we need X amount of porta potties, how do we figure out how many porta potties? So one guy went to the airport and he was timing people as they went into the bathroom, how long everybody was in the bathroom.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they had some type of formula they figured up. He said they figured out they needed thousands and thousands of porta potties. So that was going to be a problem.
Rock and roll's first focus group.
So they finally overcame that. They got the porta potties. Another thing they had to deal with too was the city council. That you have to get building permits. You have to get permits to have the concert. All these different permits had to be met. And they were kind of going out on a limb and getting everything ready without the permits even in place yet. So, and a lot of those permits didn't get approved until hours before the concert started. And a lot of those permits were finally approved because there was a lot of under the table monies moving around.
Yeah.
You paid me off and I'll approve the permit. So,
right.
So a lot of that happened just hours before the concert started.
Right.
And the thing is, they only had so much money, so they had to go to the bank and get loans from the bank because they had some banker friends that would loan them that type of cash without really, going too deep into payback and all that. Well, the problem was, the banker kept giving more money without the bank's approval. There was a lot of money that was loaned out to them that wasn't really approved, and they had signed paperwork saying that they'd be responsible to pay back all that money. They thought, well, no problem. We're going to have plenty of people here. But in fact, this kind of goes to talk about one of the bands now. The Who demanded to be paid before they played. We must be paid in cash. And this is right before they went on stage. And the Who is coming up next. We're not going until we get paid. They had to wake up a banker in the middle of the night. The guy was in his pajamas. They had to put him in a helicopter. He flew to the bank in his pajamas, opened the bank up. Of course, the vault was under a time lock, so they couldn't get into the vault. But luckily, he found a stack of cashier's checks that was out in the office area, and was able to pay the Who. And as soon as they got the money, the Who performed. And a lot of people, a lot of Who fans, or a lot of people that like to, kind of rubbed the wrong way that the Who would act like that. And the Who only got paid a little over $6,000 for their time.
Yeah,
So they were dealing with money issues, permit issues, and one thing they didn't think about was the weather. They didn't think about the weather. So there was just, I could go on for an hour telling you about some of the stuff about Woodstock.
Well, when you talk about Michael Lang, you talk about a converted circus promoter incarnate. And by that, he's the perfect salesman. And we're going to be talking about him and who he tried to get tonight. And Michael Lang, Dan just gave you how financially involved he was, his aspirations, and he had all of that. But in reading the story, kind of preparing for tonight, the one thing I was impressed, because we'll be talking about those who didn't show up here, Michael Lang made a couple of decisions. One of the people who didn't show up were the Beatles. All right. Now, they were contacted. Michael Lang contacted them. Now, you have to go back and you got to figure 1969, the winter of discontent. The Beatles were already retired from touring, so the chances of getting them were astronomical to begin with. However, they did get as far as getting a hold of John being willing to maybe push the Beatles into showing up. But John said, that he would demand an equal and opposite set for the Plastic Ono Band, and it was Michael Lang who had to make a decision right there. And when I read this, I went, "Wow, that's a guy who." And Dan's told you he had a lot of irons in the fire. This thing could explode in his face, and later kind of did, ultimately, right? But he managed to pull it off, and he could have had the Beatles or have a chance of getting at the Beatles if he had said, "Okay, John," and he said, "You don't understand. The whole, first of all, Michael knew the whole Plastic Ono Band would be whoever John Field did to be up on stage, and it was going to include Yoko Ono, and he didn't want that abrasive sound there, and he quit pursuing the Beatles from that point."
Yeah, no, that would have been horrible.
Because that would have been a hard gig for them to turn down, especially once they knew who was going to be showing up and everything. It's amazing how many Beatle-related people didn't show up at this concert, right? And think of all the problems, and yet, you see, because everybody thinks, well, no, you're wrong, Michael, because Paul was about ready in 1969 to tell him to go to hell, and then he'd end the Beatles. Well, he never ended the Beatles. It was John Lennon. And it was a half a year before Paul ever announced, he said, "I want a divorce." And yet right here in 1969, John was willing to talk further if he could get his private project in there, using the Beatles as a playing piece.
Yeah.
And Michael Lang called his bluff. Isn't that something, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had respect for him once I read that.
One other another obstacle they had that they didn't think quite clearly about, because they didn't realize how many people were going to show up. And so when they hired all these artists to perform, they told them they gave them a list of local hotels that they should be staying at. Okay, and they thought, well, they get to the hotel when it's time to perform, they'll just drive down to the festival. Well, the roads were blocked, totally blocked with traffic, and so when it was time for the concert to start, none of the artists were there yet. And so what they did, Richie Havens was there. They told Richie, "Get on stage, just do something."
God, what a performance he put out!
I'll tell you.
And Richie
rising to the occasion, baby.
And so Richie Havens gets on stage, and he plays a lot of his music, and he thinks, well, I'm done. So he walks off stage. They said, "No, Richie, you're not done. You got to go back out for another encore. We don't have anybody else to put on stage yet. They're not here." So Richie he did like 3 or 4 encores. He said he played everything he actually knew. Everything was done. And then they said, "No, you got to go out one more time." He goes, "Well, I don't have anything else." And they said, "Well, you got to come up with something." So he just started ad-libbing, and that's when he came up with that song, Freedom.
Freedom.
That was all ad-libbed.
I got to say one thing, because it ties in right now. Like Natalie just mentioned, Richie Havens, and I saw Richie Havens downtown Long Beach. When it was like 1973-ish, yeah. And what a performance! Small, I think it was called the Roxy Theater, small thing downtown Long Beach. He came out in a suit, all by himself, with an acoustic guitar, and proceeded to hop up and down on both feet for like 2 hours while he played the acoustic guitar. It looked like he'd climbed out of a swimming pool, and it just reminds me how many. I mean, what an amazing performance! How many people after Woodstock did you become a big fan of? Santana was Soul Sacrifice. Santana didn't have a single album out. Nobody knew who Santana was. They opened for Grateful Dead at the Golden Gate Park up by Haight-Ashbury, and a lot of those were free, and there was a lot of LSD being passed around. That was kind of a big thing there. And he opened up for them, and nobody even knew who Santana was. But that rendition of Soul Sacrifice they did, while they were incidentally very stoned on acid. Jerry Garcia gave him some at the airport, and he told him, "You have plenty of time. You're going on after me." And they were in a little room. They just got through taking the acid. They were starting to peek on it, and knock on the door, and a guy comes in and goes, "Santana, you're up." So they were like really messed up when they went out and played and did that that song, and that drummer. I mean, everybody in that band was just incredible. Richie Havens was incredible. There's two I can name right there that I was a big fan of that I knew nothing about prior to Woodstock, and it was amazing.
Hey, Royce, can I respond to White Monkey here?
Yes.
Since he gave us a $2 super thanks, he deserves a response.
And that's why I brought him back up. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that looking back, people think that a lot. White Monkey, Franco Blondie, about the Isle of Wight being England's Woodstock. But it's interesting. Another person who didn't show up for this was Bob Dylan, who lived in Woodstock. Yeah. But at the time, Bob Dylan was very much a homebody. He had tired of the big rock star status, all of the energy that it took to rise to that occasion. He was asked to show up at Woodstock, and he said, "No, that's not what I am. That's not me. If I show up there, then I will appear to be what I am, and everybody will say, yeah, you fit perfect in there. And I'm not really that, what everybody thinks of me." He had an ill child. He wanted to turn his attention to his family. He was keying to home recordings at the time, and so he turned it down. But guess what, White Monkey? He turned it down so that he could go to the Isle of Wight, and the reason he chose the Isle of Wight over Woodstock was because he saw it as a more accepting and generalized crowd that would be more open to listening to whatever he decided in the moment to present to them, and that he felt that the expectations of him being at Woodstock, especially with his address, would have been too much. He didn't want to have to face up to the image, because the image that many people thought, the long-haired, bare-breasted children sliding in the mud was no longer him, nor was it ever really him. He was a family man by this way. But I agree with you. Most people, historians, will say, America had Woodstock and they had the Isle of Wight, right? But that's not the way Bob Dylan saw it. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen any footage of the Isle of Wight, so I'd have to relook at that. Right.
I have an Isle of Wight album of Hendrix's. But anyway, let me do this. First of all, White Monkey, thank you so much for your super chat. It is much appreciated, man. Okay, now what I want to do is, what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to read a list of the people that performed at Woodstock, okay? To start off with, Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was supposed to be and was the closer and the highest paid artist to play there. Jimi Hendrix was paid $18,000. There were 32 acts. Blood, Sweat, and Tears, believe it or not, was the second highest paid band at $15,000. Joan Baez, Creedence Clearwater Revival, The Band, Janis Joplin, Jefferson Airplane, Sly and the Family Stone. Sly and the Family Stone still got $7,500. Canned Heat, $6,500. The Who got less than both of them, $6,500. No, $6,250.
Yeah, but they got their money.
Yeah, they got their money. Right. Okay, and all right, Richie Havens got $6,000. Arlo Guthrie played there. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. They're all down in the $5,000 range. Ravi Shankar.
Not bad for a first gig.
No, not at all. Ravi Shankar played there. Okay, here's another performance that turned me into a big fan.
But I heard that Ravi had to pay them.
No, I don't know. It doesn't say that.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I wasn't. I'm a big fan of Ravi Shankar and his music, but his pompous, peaceful Nike cigarettes and all of that stuff got real old fast for me.
Right.
Don't come over here to America and tell us what to do.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Well, we have a couple of new people in the chat. Breakfast Kings of Loyola. Hey, it's really good to see you, brother. Thank you. Carla Murray's back in here now.
Hey, Carla.
Dreamscape's been in here. So anyway, Caitlin's of course been in here too. So okay, let me get through this list real quick. We have Johnny Winter played, and now here's another band just like Richie Havens and Santana that I became a fan of because of this show. That's 10 years after, and Alvin Lee doing "I'm Going Home."
Yeah,
What an amazing performance that was.
Yeah.
Oh. And Country Joe and the Fish, who could forget that, you know? And it's 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. Anyway, it ends with whoopee.
Yeah, I tired of that about the third time I heard it, but it's thematic, you know.
Yeah. Grateful Dead.
But it was never one of my favorite cuts or artists at all. But,
yeah, Grateful Dead, the Incredible String Band. Mountain was paid $2,000. Tim Hardin, Joe Cocker was paid $1,375, and that, oh my God, getting high with a little help from my friends. What an amazing job he did on that.
Yeah, he sure did.
Sweetwater, $1,250. John Sebastian, $1,000. Melanie, $750. Santana, $750.
Wow.
That was the last time they ever played for $750. They were no name. Of course, Sha Na Na was there. Keith
the most inappropriate freaking band on the whole thing, you know?
Yeah, there's a story behind that too. Okay.
Quill, man.
Okay, the Paul Butterfield Blues Bands, that was a good band. And Bert Summers, okay. So that was the bands that played there. And maybe I skipped them, but it's on the list. It was on the list, yeah. And but like Dan was saying, it was the logistics. I mean, when you have 400 people show up at a venue that you had planned so many less people to be at, and you don't have enough portable toilets, not nearly enough food, not nearly enough of anything. I mean, it was too much, man.
One of the things the organizers said, you know, they had planned on just doing a concert, you know, so they had to manage a concert. They said it ended up turning into a city management. They had it's like they were managing the city because they didn't think about food, you know. And so the townsfolk brought in all the food for them, you know, so people could eat. I mean, 3 days without food, you're going to get, you know. So the townspeople did kick in, brought in food, and the food was free.
Yeah, that's right, huh? That might have kept the crowd under control a little bit.
Yeah.
But there were long stretches that were really testing the patience of the crowd, you know, and rain and, boy, with all the adversity that went on, can you imagine that many things going wrong in a festival these days? The whole thing would be burned. We've seen it. Woodstock too. The whole thing would be burned down in a minute.
Yeah.
Well, right? one of the Woodstock. Yeah, exactly.
So there's something to say about the spirit. That's why Woodstock is magical. That's because there was a lot of stuff to overcome. This wasn't a lot of people just walking right on into it without a ticket, you know, and power going out, or bands not able to play because of lightning and warnings there, and half the entertainment higher than a kite and more than half the audience even higher, you know. And
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
It was the perfect storm for everything to go down with the ship, and somehow they pulled it off. It's a miracle.
Oh, well, that's exactly right, Michael. I love this comment right here by the Vinyl Dreamscape, because I felt this. The Joe Cocker performance was unreal. As a kid, I was almost scared by the intensity. I didn't know what I was saying. Oh my God, the way he was moving and stuff, I thought he had some kind of, you know, disease or something. Well, and you know what I'm saying? The way he was, you know, moving around with his arms and hands. And
after having,
what's that?
Said after having watched it earlier, if you're watching his movements, when it's the guitar's on, he's playing the guitar lines. You can see him playing it in air. And when it's just bass, guitar, you can see him playing the bass lines. Like I've never seen anybody that into the instruments while, I mean, like his energy. And I saw a video of his whole set. My God, it was incredible.
Well,
yeah, Chris, I think he put
but
himself into a headspace, and that whole persona was just, he dug into it. Kind of like what we're doing here, the Four Horsemen.
Yeah,
you just groove with it, and that whole persona and the way his body would kind of spaz out and everything was a direct reaction. I think he morphed into that, and then it became that which would allow him to give his very best. That's the way I've always looked at him.
yeah.
That guy got into the idea of that and then made that a reality, much like what we're attempting to do tonight.
That's
much
exactly
like
right,
what I've
Michael.
done on my channel. I,
Right,
willed the tribe into a reality with the help of about 46,000 other people,
Right.
And
Well,
it can happen, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What I want to say next is that with all its shortcomings, Woodstock became the blueprint for future festivals. They learned what to do, and they especially learned what not to do. Okay. And well, the bottom line was be prepared. Okay. Woodstock demonstrated the viability and allure of bringing together vast numbers of people for a multi-day music and arts festival, which is what that was. Music and arts fair. I don't I don't know too much about the arts other than what I saw painted on buses and vans and stuff. But I guess maybe some people brought something to sell there or something. That's so buried in the whole mix of what happened there. I don't even know what the arts part of it would be.
One of the things that are so different from today as they were from 1969. If you have a big concert nowadays, and you come with friends and you get separated, well, you can text them, "Hey, I'm over here." Well,
right.
Back in '69, they didn't have that, so they were making public from the stage.
Right.
And they said it got to a point where there were just too many; they couldn't do it. So
it got to the point. Well, don't worry about John; he's only been gone a day and a half.
Yeah, well, they end up setting up a message area where you go there, like if you like a missing person, you put up a piece of paper with their name on it. I'm looking for you. And I've seen the picture that is just pasted with all sorts of paperwork. But you had to do what you had to do in '69. I mean, nowadays it won't be that big of an issue, but
right. Hey,
you got to think about it like this, Don. In '69, stadium rock had only existed for 4 years. The Beatles invented that.
Yeah.
Right. So that what Michael Lang did was, like I said, a miracle. They were learning the ropes of festival rocks. Rock. I mean,
almost by accident. They pretty much learned by accident because it was larger than they had actually anticipated.
Oh, so much larger. Exactly.
So they had to roll with the punches as it came out.
Yep.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, watching the movie earlier, they were expecting 70 to 80,000. Certainly not 500,000.
They said there was. Well, I heard estimates there were between 400 to 500,000 people that were actually there, but that's not counting the people that didn't get in. People that were stuck on the highways. There were thousands.
Well, that was the problem. People were abandoning their cars on the way in and just parking them in the middle of the road and walking in because they just couldn't. They weren't moving.
Another problem is too. The state patrol got there late, and they got there after the traffic jam had already started instead of getting there before. But they said they can't really blame the state police because nobody really knew.
Nobody knew.
That was another problem too. I mean, it was being announced in all the radio stations up there about this concert and the lineup, and everybody's all excited about it. So they were saying, get here early. So before they even had the security fences up or the ticket booths up, 35 to 40,000 people already showed up, and they were waiting for the show to begin. Then they had an issue. Well, how do we get these tickets from these people? Are we going to tell all 35 to 40,000 people to leave the area, go on the other side of the fence, and then we'll take your ticket? And so they were really confused, And they go, what if they don't have a ticket? What do we do then? And so the head of security said, well, we're going to be non-confrontational about it. We're not going to, we're not going to arrest these people or whatever. So they had several decisions they had to make, and one of the decisions was it's a free concert.
That's exactly
what, Dan? That was Geffen's concerns. He was the manager, not only the head of Geffen Records, but he was the manager of who is I'm thinking of right now? Joni Mitchell? Anyway, why am I having a brain fart on her name? Is it the one who wrote Woodstock?
Joni Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell. Okay. For some reason, I said that, and I go, it didn't sound right.
I got her name on the screen right now.
Yeah. So she was all set to go. She wanted to go. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. She was very connected with them. Had a lot of friends that she knew through Laurel Canyon and everything. She wanted to go. It was all set, but she was also set to go on Dick Cavett. And Geffen thought that she would best be served for her style of music and everything if she performed to a larger audience on TV of a more generalized audience. Sounds just like a record exec's decision, doesn't it, Royce?
Yeah.
So she had to watch it. She had to watch it from afar, and like the rest of us, right? And so when she watched it, she said it carried her. She was there as she watched it. And what we got was that she wrote the song Woodstock while participating in it through a vicarious way, and came up with We Are Stardust, Oh my God, this wonderful, we've got to get back to the garden. This one of rock's very best songs, especially when Crosby, Stills, and Nash does it, right? And so she later was quoted as saying, "I was the only one at Woodstock that wasn't there."
She was really bummed out about it, big time.
Right.
Yeah.
That is a quote directly from her. "I was the only one at Woodstock that wasn't there."
Well, that could also be related to the Beatles and Joe Cocker now, right? With Ringo having written that song. So she wasn't the only one.
That's a McCartney and Lennon song, but Ringo sang it. Yeah.
I thought Ringo wrote it too.
No.
Which
one are you talking about?
With a little help from my friends.
Yeah, no, actually, that was written by John and Paul, co-written at a time they weren't co-writing together. Who was it that wrote a book on them? He did the first official biography, and he was actually privy to that writing session. And he said, when Paul talks about them literally writing nose to nose, they were in the studio writing that song. I think it was off an original idea that Paul had, but it was purposefully written, Chris, for Ringo to sing. Okay. With him in mind and everything. It was like, it was one of those work songs that Paul always talked about. It didn't come from inspiration, but it came from an inspiration that fit within what was becoming a general concept album.
Yeah. I'm gonna step back up the page here. Johnny L had put something up. If it's not too far back now, okay. He says, Royce, when Jimi Hendrix played the Star Spangled Banner on his guitar, wasn't that the first time ever playing it in that style? Maybe the panel knows. I don't think so, because I know that was never wasn't even close to the first time he played the Star Spangled Banner. And he always emulated, the sound of bombs going off, the sound of, planes and machine guns, and he emulated war while he played that song. I've never seen anybody do anything like that before.
And in other styles, he would emulate a lot of the sounds and styles in that solo that Johnny's talking about also, Royce.
Yeah, so, that's right.
Yeah, so when you're thinking, is that the first time, even if that was his first time ever playing it, there's a lot of, Jimi already had a lot of those stylings. Of course, he really laid it on with bombs bursting in air and stuff like that.
No, and that wasn't the first time. I'd say there was a dozen or more.
He'd make machine gun sounds before, on his guitar. So this was the culmination of his style, and what a theme to choose to really culminate the ultimate Jimi Hendrix style.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, something about Jimi too. That when he was scheduled to perform, it was supposed to be Sunday night, but because the schedule was so out of whack, that he didn't end up playing until Monday morning during summer.
Yeah.
Right. After everybody had finally gone home to work and to school and everything they had to go do on Monday, he played to a nothing audience, really.
Yeah, yeah. And and he was the highest paid,
The highest paid, yeah.
When he got paid $18,000, and they said today's money, it's equivalent to $125,000. So it was pretty good change back then.
Yeah.
But, I also feel sorry for Jimmy too, because when he arrived to do the show, he flew into a little local airport in a small airplane, a little Cessna or whatever. He flew in.
Right.
Yeah. He calls the promoters up and says, "Well, I'm at the airport. I need some transportation." Well, the promoters didn't ever organize any type of transportation to the festival. The performers are basically on their own. And said, well, Jimmy, we don't have any type of transportation. He goes, well, what I do? And he goes,
right.
He said, well, ask somebody at the airport. Maybe somebody can give you a lift. So he said, hold on a second. He put the phone down, came back a couple minutes later and said, okay, I found somebody, And he ended up getting a ride in a station wagon with a family. And Jimi Hendrix arrived at the festival in a station wagon.
That sounds like Jimi Hendrix to me.
And then he ends up getting bumped until Monday morning. But he was the highest paid, so
Yeah. Don't take the brown acid, Natalie says. That was like a big thing over the PA system. We've got some bad acid out there. Don't take the brown acid.
Which I think a lot of the performers did. I mean, what's his name? John Sebastian. He said he was tripping his ass off when he was performing. And same way with there was another one that was really tripping. Arlo Guthrie. Guthrie said he was, because he figured he had more time before he went on, but
same with Santana.
So he's sitting there tripping on acid. They said, Arlo, you're next. He goes, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to go until later. There's nobody here.
Right.
You got to go on. So
well, I would say it's a safe bet that most of the musicians were at least stoned off of their asses.
Well, those were the times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
who wasn't?
We could spend 3 days on Woodstock, but I think what I want to do is move to who passed on Woodstock and why. And this was already brought up. The Beatles promoters contacted John Lennon to discuss the Beatles' performance at Woodstock. And Lennon said that the Beatles would not play unless there was room for the Yoko Ono's Plastic Ono, too many Onos there, band, and he was turned down. But then there's a caveat to that. It says a more likely story came out when Artie Cornfield met John Lennon. Lennon expressed that he wanted to play Woodstock, but was in Canada and having a hard time getting back in the country due to Richard Nixon. So there's kind of two different versions on why the Beatles didn't play there. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Yoko Ono's Plastic Ono band needed the spot, or he was afraid to cross the border from Canada into America because Nixon was on his ass.
I heard that he there were concerns about him, whether he in general would find it difficult or not. But he wasn't being stopped at that moment. None of that got put into gear.
Okay.
For him.
It's probably more the Yoko Ono thing then. Yeah.
No, the interview I read with Michael Lang said quite literally he made the decision he didn't want Yoko, or he didn't want the avant-garde Yoko.
That's right. That's what you said earlier. The promoter made the decision.
Right.
Yeah.
He was the one that made the final decision not to no longer pursue them anyway. The Beatles could have come back with a counter offer and stuff, but they didn't. And we talked about why that wasn't going to happen. I'm just so, looking at it under those lines, I still would have preferred to have the Beatles there because talk about the ultimate band for the ultimate generation, just like Led Zeppelin should have been there. But Peter Grant wouldn't let them play there. They were offered, and he said, no, I don't see Led Zeppelin as one of 21 or 35 bands. I see them as the echelon of all echelons. And and he was already making rooms for stadiums only, and it was his purposeful position to make them beyond that. So once we didn't have the Beatles, my second favorite band, who did a lot of what the Beatles did in the 60s, in the 70s, wound up wisely not showing up there, because they then put themselves on the level of the Beatles, and they did it purposefully. They turned this gig down, and it added to their legend. And you know what? The Beatles not being there didn't hurt their legend one bit. Why? Because we're talking about why the Beatles almost went there, maybe, sort of, kind of. So we're still talking about them, and we're still talking about Led Zeppelin. And Led Zeppelin would have crushed everybody there. Sorry.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
One thing about Led Zeppelin, too, of course, they passed on Woodstock, but I find it kind of ironic that probably 3 weeks later, they play at the Louisville Pop Festival right down the street from me here.
Yeah.
And they were a little leery if they're going to do that or not, but Peter Grant went ahead and said, let's do Louisville. So they did. I don't know if they did the Atlanta Pop Festival or not, but I know they did.
And Peter Grant had them all set up. They took off on a hugely successful summer tour.
Oh, God!
On the weekend of Woodstock is when they started it. They played at Ashbury Park Convention Hall in New Jersey, just south of the festival. Is that what you're talking about, Dan? Or no?
No, Louisville, Texas. It's called the Louisville Pop Festival.
Louisville, Texas. Okay, I got it.
We're talking about the tour that made Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
So they made no mistakes that year, because
it was 69.
What happened made them a household name within a year. So they didn't need Woodstock.
Well, Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 both came out in 69. In the following years, 3 came out. But okay, so the next band I had was the Doors. They sat the Woodstock Festival out, with speculation pointing to Jim Morrison's dislike of performing outdoors.
Well, he liked to be in control of lights and sound to create a mood, and he also didn't see himself. He was the deadly prophet of rock. He talked about death and dark things, and he didn't see the Doors performing for a lot of peace and love people. And he was also uncomfortable performing out of doors, because he thought the crowd was rushing in on him. He was a bit paranoid. Yeah.
Okay, so but Densmore from the Doors did show up, and he just stood on the side of the stage while Cocker performed. Just watch the performance. Okay. And then Bob Dylan.
Anyways.
Go ahead, Chris. Say that again.
Sorry, didn't mean to talk over you. I said that'd almost be worth the trip, just standing on stage watching Joe Cocker.
It would have been, yeah. Bob Dylan was in the middle of negotiations for the upcoming festival, but backed out when his son fell ill. And someone in this chat actually said that earlier. Okay, he was also quite unimpressed with the increasing number of hippies accumulating outside of his house near the original planned site of the festival, because he lived in Woodstock. Dylan went on to perform at the Isle of Wight Festival 2 weeks later. Okay. So anyway, so there's a lot of real biggies that didn't go, that I wonder if hindsight, some of them had wished that they had. I don't know.
What about Simon and Garfunkel? They were asked, but their excuse was they were right in the middle of recording Bridge Over Troubled Waters, which, if you think about it now, that's their last album, right? Their biggest album. It was a masterpiece, and they were asked to go, and both of them said, and I'm thinking specifically of one interview I saw with Garfunkel, that they felt that by leaving, they would interrupt the mood and the intensity. They knew they had this album. They knew they had a masterpiece. They were locked into finishing it up. And some say that, you know what, if they had just taken a break and experienced all of that, because think of their lyrics and their songs and what that concert represents, they're perhaps an even bigger miss than the Beatles. Scarborough Affair, Mrs. Robinson, America, all these wonderful songs that are absolutely thematic of our time. And maybe if they had picked up on that, they could have gone back and recharged their batteries Instead, they stayed home, created their greatest album, and broke up immediately after.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah. Hey, Frank James is here. Good to see you, Frank. Always good to see you come in.
Hi,
Thanks for
Frank.
showing up.
The last three bands we just mentioned all have similar stories in that they were all working on albums. They were all doing their thing.
Right.
And the world of music is better off that they didn't miss, or that they did miss those concerts, because look what happened afterwards.
Right.
I mean, so and not to mention, it's a festival on a wooden stage in the middle of a big field. It's not something that it had the big, big draw of interest for some of those bands as well. It's like, okay, like we're going to be in the middle of a bill, like Led Zeppelin, and their situation, they're going to be on the. No, Led Zeppelin is only going to be top bill, and then that's what the managers, that's what we're not going to be second best to anybody. We're going to go to a festival. We're going to be the top bill if we do that, and that's what Peter Grant.
That's what Peter. Yeah, that was Peter Grant straight up right there.
And the managers for Simon and Garfunkel too. That not only were they in the middle of doing the album, but their management pretty much said, if you guys do that and you stop this recording, you guys are screwed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what happened with Eric Clapton. He turned it down because he was in the middle of creating Blind Faith, and they were rehearsing for the album and their upcoming tour. I think he even did a show before there, but he said that it was a rhythm he couldn't break for Woodstock, and he says, frankly, he didn't give a damn whether he went or not in the end. Sounds like Eric.
Their career with a free show to 100,000 people in Hyde Park, London, anyways. So
right.
Okay,
exactly,
so the next band is Procol Harum. They were just finishing a extensive tour, and Robert Trower's wife was about to have a baby, so they just didn't want to do it. They were just tired. Then we have the Moody Blues. They were included on the original Wallkill poster. Wallkill, isn't that's Woodstock? I think they call it Wallkill too. I'm not sure exactly why.
Wallkill was one of the sites they owned when they started building the set, and the townspeople kicked them out. That was Wallkill, New York.
Okay, got it. Okay, so anyway, they were on the original poster, but decided to back out after being booked in Paris the same weekend. Now the next one I find really funny. Jethro Tull passed on the event after Ian Anderson was quoted as saying that he didn't want to spend his weekend in a field of unwashed hippies. Now, if you've ever seen pictures of him as a hippie, I mean, he's got more hair than any 10 people with afros, And when I read that he said that, a field of unwashed hippies, that killed me.
Who said that?
Ian Anderson.
Oh God!
He didn't want to spend his weekend in a field of unwashed hippies.
Mr. Rat's Nest of a hair guy himself.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But there's another theory though. His belief that the large festivals may have killed their careers before it began. I don't think so. Okay, now another one. I'm a fan of him as well as most of them here, probably all of them. Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, according to the Class of the 20th Century U.S. television special, is quoted as saying, "A lot of mud at Woodstock. We were invited to play there. We turned it down. A lot of mud." There wasn't any mud on the stage that I remember. Come on now.
Well, and Frank Zappa probably wasn't too happy with a bunch of unwashed hippies.
Well, yeah.
All that way. He was more jazz. He looked hippie-ish, but
but no, you're right. I agree with you.
He was a lot more conservative than.
I never saw him in bell bottoms with an embroidery around the bottom.
Yeah, he had his limits. He had his limits. Yeah.
No, he had his limits. All right. Yeah. Piccolina the cat is here.
Hi, Piccolina.
Okay, so the next one is Tommy James and the Shondells declined the invitation. He would later say, "We could have just kicked ourselves. We were in Hawaii, and my secretary," listen to this, I love this one. "My secretary called and said, listen, there's this pig farmer in upstate New York that wants you to play in his field." Now, who would turn that down, right?
He
goes,
actually
that's how it was put to me, so he passed. Liner notes on one of his albums says,
I wonder what her next job was.
yeah, right.
It was actually a dairy farm, not a big.
God, I know.
Not a
That's
big
how
farm.
bad she screwed this up. Yeah, good point, Michael. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I would have fired her the moment I found
I
out
bet you 10 to 1 she was.
what I missed out on. Okay, so Arthur Lee and Love declined the invitation, but Mojo magazine later described inner turmoil within the band, which caused their absence at the Woodstock Festival. Free was asked to perform and declined. No other comments. Spirit, the band Spirit, declined and instead launched a promotional tour. Mind Garage, I don't remember Mind Garage. I probably heard of them back in the day. Declined because they thought the festival would be no huge deal, and they had a higher paying gig elsewhere. They were probably going to be some of the lower paid. Okay, so almost there. Okay, almost there. Other bands missed the opportunity to miss the largest festival in music history due to declining the invitation, and the split between regret and no remorse is scaled towards most bands believing that they made the correct decision. The bands who really got the shaft were the ones who were scheduled to be part of the history and simply missed the bus, so to speak, when it came time for the Woodstock concert to begin. It was hard to get in there.
Oh, yeah.
That's why, for example, Santana didn't think they were going on for hours, so they dropped the acid that Jerry Garcia gave them, and then the door flew open. They said, "Santana, you're up," because people weren't getting in. They couldn't get in on time, you know. So the Jeff Beck group was booked to perform at an aquarium exposition, but broke up a week before the festival. Let's see, Joni Mitchell.
I believe.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dan.
I believe Jeff Beck was on that poster as well.
You might be right.
Yeah, I think he was on that poster, and of course, was a no-show.
Yeah. Then we had Joni Mitchell. We've been talking about her. Was recommended by her agent to appear on the Dick Cavett show rather than go to the Woodstock Festival. It is also believed that Mitchell was discouraged from performing at another festival after a particularly nasty crowd at the Atlantic City Pop Festival actually made her cry. So they were worried that she might get, upset again. Another heartbreaker, because I'm a big fan of Iron Butterfly. I've got that yellow album. I think 3 copies of it. And I was actually at a thrift store today, and I came across that never has a good album. I go in there periodically because there's a grocery store next door. I've never seen a single good album. It's all Andy Williams and people like that with torn covers, no sleeves. It's horrible. I tell these guys, you guys need to throw all of this away, man. It's just junk here. And so I'm flipping through it today just for the hell of it. And I come across that yellow Iron Butterfly album cover. Oh my God! I'll take 4 copies. I think what's going to cost me $1. I'll send it to Michael. I pull it out, and there's no record in it. It's just the cover.
Bastards!
Oh my God! So they ended up.
And if there was ever a band that should have been there that wasn't, the Iron Butterfly. Lord.
Well,
they should have been there.
I'm kind of glad Iron Butterfly didn't show up because their manager was a jerk. When they talked to the promoter, they had a list of demands. Okay, Iron Butterfly, they're going to fly in. You pick them up, take them to the festival. They're going to get paid. They're going to play. You take them back to the airport, and that's it. I mean, that's not the way it works,
No.
So, it is today, but not then.
Yeah, it is today. That's right, but not then. Yeah.
But they had a whole list of demands, and the promoter said, "I never called him back."
That's great.
Tim Henry of Music Life says Iron Butterfly were awesome. I agree, Tim. Hope you're doing well out there, brother.
In a God and a Vita. Appropriately named by someone looking at the title upside down drunk. The title was In the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
But he read it wrong, and they said they liked it, so they took that name instead. But anyway, so let's see. Oh, okay. Iron Butterfly ended up stranded at the airport and were kindly told where to stick it when they demanded helicopters, helicopters, and other special arrangements to aid them in attending the concert.
Yeah.
Oops.
Hey, Chris, maybe you know these guys. Lighthouse, the Canadian band, was
I've
booked to
heard of them, but
play.
I'm not overly familiar with their music.
Okay, but they backed out for fear that Woodstock would be a bad scene. Okay,
and who were they again?
Lighthouse, yeah, right.
I would say historically, out of that list, Royce, that was the biggest freaking mistake out of the list you just made. Because I don't know shit about that band.
I know, and look what happened to Santana, Richie Havens, and some of these others. They shot to stardom overnight.
Some of these people who didn't show up, they could incur the loss, but
yeah,
I've already forgotten the name of that band.
Lighthouse something. Now Lighthouse, I have to show this. It's Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock, and I mean this. Now just take a look at this gatefold. I'm going to make
yourself big.
Yeah. I haven't been doing that because we're all fairly big because of the situation with only 4 guys. But anyway, here we go. Okay, this is Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock. And what's really cool about this, damn it, I was going to take it. Okay. Well, there's the hype sticker on the original shrink wrap. Everybody says, you got to save the hype sticker. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so my grandson will get an extra quarter for it when he sells it a day after I die. Okay, so here's some great pictures. You see this picture right here? That's hanging in my entryway wall. I have an artist that drew my Jimmy Page playing the double neck. I mean, a real art too. It wasn't faked.
Oh, and George?
No, it wasn't George. No, it was another guy. He's in a band called I can't think of the name of the band. I have one of their albums though. And his partner wrote half the songs on the original LA Guns for the LA Guns album. And then he quit the band before they came out and became big. And there was a lot of stuff that had to go on there before he got compensated. But they've got a band together. And they got a really good album. It was in red vinyl that I bought. And he's from England. The other guy that was in LA Guns lives here in the States, in LA. And I'll pull it out and tell you guys all later. But anyway, I asked him, I told him I needed a Jimi Hendrix. And he goes, well, I've got some made already. I'll send you a couple of pictures. He did. Well, it wasn't the one I want. I go, no. You don't understand. It's got to be Jimi Hendrix in the white fringe at Woodstock. That's the only Jimi Hendrix I can accept. So I actually found one online and sent it to him, and he painted this for me. It's hanging in my entryway. So anyway, that's one little nonsensical story. So anyway, this thing opens up. It's kind of weird. It opens up in the center, from the center out. Got some more amazing pictures. Okay. And then I'll try to get through this a little quicker here because we're all busy and shit. Okay, so what you've got here is if I get into this first cover, you'll find that, of course, there's an album, but then there's a nice little booklet. Okay. Jimi Hendrix playing with his teeth. Booklet with some stories to go with it. Let me back up a little bit. Okay. And let's see. So there's Jimmy's songs for Woodstock. Okay. Give me a minute and a half to tune up. Okay. Like we only had like 2 rehearsals. So we liked it. His band at Woodstock only had 2 rehearsals. It wasn't the Experience. It wasn't the Band of Gypsies. It was a whole different thing. He just put together and had 2 rehearsals. Okay. Here he is again. All right. Speed it up, Roy. Speed it up. People are falling asleep on you. Okay. All right.
Giving you your time, Royce. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. No, I'm just playing. But so there you go. That's in there with the first album. This is a 3-album set, and of course the other 2 albums are back here. Well, one's actually in the middle. Okay, the kind of gatefold this is. There's an album on each end and one in the middle. All right, so that's it. That's all I'm going to do. I'll show that. Let's see. There was one more thing. I don't know if anybody wants me to read this or not. It's a poem. It's a poem that Jimi Hendrix wrote for Woodstock called 500,000 Halos. We washed and drank in God's tears of joy. And for once and for everyone, the truth was not a mystery. Love called to all, music is magic. Doesn't that sound like Jimi Hendrix? Love called to all, music is magic. And we passed over and beyond the walls of Nay, hand in hand as we lived and made real the dreams of peaceful men came together, danced with the pearls of rainy weather, riding the waves of music in space. Music is magic, magic is life. Love as never before. Love as never loved before, excuse me. Harmony to son and daughter, man and wife. Jimi Hendrix. A little poem.
And everybody brags about Jim Morrison, you know. Jimmy could write some pretty heavy shit.
Yeah, no, and it was always psychedelic too, you know.
Yeah.
Jimmy was a psychedelic cat, man.
Hey, I got something I want to show too, if you bring me up.
Absolutely, Danny.
Well, you were talking before you start, Dan. Gypsy Sun and Rainbows was the name of Jimmy's band there.
Yes, and I think it was the only band he was ever in where there were 2 guitar players. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, Dr. Rick had that in the chat. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, of course. Now, when Woodstock happened, I was only 12 years old. Of course, obviously I couldn't go, but I did get a ticket.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that. We talked about that.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
And it's certified. It's original ticket for the Sunday show.
Nice. That's so cool.
Nice.
Yeah, they sold individual day tickets. They also sold where you could buy a 3-day ticket too. So I got the Sunday ticket.
Hold on to that, Dan, because I think the Wayback Machine will be invented any day now.
I wish I had a different day because that's the day it rained. You know. So.
Yeah.
Take a raincoat, brother. Take a raincoat.
Look at this comment from Dr. Rick. I heard that Jim Morrison was worried about being assassinated.
Wow, I heard that too.
Yeah,
that he was worried about sharpshooters on the towers and stuff. Yeah.
Well, and he was afraid of the rushing of the crowd, and that was all part of it. We mentioned that earlier too. So yeah. But he was getting kind of paranoid.
Yeah.
At this time too. You know.
That feeds a lot of conspiracies when someone winds up, dying.
Yeah, there was an incident that happened on stage when The Who was playing, and people have different memories about it. Is Abby Hoffman jumps on stage when The Who was performing. Actually, The Who had taken a couple seconds off. They said they were retuning their instruments. Abby Hoffman jumps up on stage and he starts getting the audience to chant something, And Pete Townsend was not happy about that and smacked him with his guitar, knocked him off the stage.
Yeah, good. Get the fuck off my stage.
I heard something about that before. That's
now,
great.
Abby Hoffman says, no, he didn't hit me with his guitar. Said he bumped into me. And Pete Townsend said he doesn't recollect anything about that. So probably that acid, but
Right.
But that, what they said, and what happened?
Hey,
was,
I gotta.
They said, there's so many cameras there in Woodstock, their film crews and everything else. They said, but nobody caught it on camera. They said probably because back in those days, it wasn't video, it was film. And when there was a break in the action, all the photographers changing their film cartridge up, putting a new film, and they didn't catch it. So it's still controversial whether that incident really happened or not.
I'm gonna put
Good night, White Monkey.
I'm gonna put a link in the chat. Earlier, I come across a video on YouTube. It's The Who Woodstock, the full concert, and what you just said, Dan. It's not stock. It's probably stock footage, but it's not the professional footage. It's and you can see Townsend looking over and telling somebody, "Get the fuck off my stage," and it was probably Abby Hoffman.
Yeah, that was.
But you could see him. You couldn't see who he was talking to, but you could see him turn to the side and say that to somebody.
Ah, okay. So
here, I'll put the link in there. It's right now.
Okay,
it was just a video I come across. It's the
wow,
and it's mostly just like I said, stock footage or something. They don't have a whole lot of the professional camera work, but the sound is good. So there you go.
I agree, Winslow. Zappa was cool. He was one cool cat.
All right, I got a couple of things to go off, Royce, if you don't mind.
What do you want to do?
So I can show off a couple of things if you like.
Okay. You want to be bigger or what?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. First off, we're talking about Santana. I got a package a while back with his original CD plus his entire Woodstock.
Huh?
Set.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's got a.
You're watering Royce's mouth here, brother.
Oh, aren't you
Yeah, the
ever?
entire set they played was a couple of songs that didn't even make only came out on their second album, but the song "Waiting," "Evil Ways," "You Just Don't Care," "Savor," "Jingo," "Persuasion," "Soul Sacrifice," and then "Fried Neck Bones" and "Home Fries."
Wow. Hey, folks, we are at 46 thumbs up, 4 more, and this stream will go to a whole brand new audience if you could help. Right. Please and thank you, folks. Go ahead, Chris.
Here's another picture of the band there.
Oh, yeah, it was amazing.
And a picture of what the crowd looked like while they were on stage.
Wow.
Yeah, that's some good stuff you got there, Chris. Very good stuff.
And then just to back up some of the stuff you were talking about, Royce. I got the Jimi Hendrix CD, but only just the smaller set. But this here.
Oh, nice.
Got, the original, like the professional version of it, and then it's got an alternative camera angle. It's probably similar to that the Who one I just put on there.
Right.
Got black and white footage and just different stock footage mixed in, but it's the entire concert twice. One professional, one like I said, an alternative version. You could say.
Wow, that's crazy. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's got a booklet with some of the pictures you were showing off too. I don't know where I just put it. Here. It's got just different poses of them.
Yeah.
Those nice shots too.
Jimi at Woodstock.
Another one of him playing with the guitar. Steve. Anyways, that's all I got.
Oh, okay, right on. Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Oh, man, wait a minute. Put that last one up.
Okay. Here we go.
If Jimi Hendrix was out today, they'd take that photo and go, "I brush with Crest toothpaste."
Yeah.
Wouldn't they? Wouldn't
they? I just want to. Michael touched on something. I was four thumbs up shy of hitting that.
You're 2 away now, brother. 2 away.
Of 50. So if you're watching the show and you haven't hit that like button yet, please do so now. Now, if you're not watching show live, you're watching it tomorrow or the next day or the day after that. It'll be playing all the time. Go ahead and hit the like button then as well. It doesn't matter when you hit it, but the sooner the better, because that's what gives us a boost with the algorithm and gets the show placed in front of more people as a recommendation for them to watch. So
we are 1 away, and this stream live on the air would kick to a wider audience live right now. 1 away, folks.
One more like. And also, we're growing the channel. We've rebranded it. We're trying to, be a little more professional. And we're never going to stop having fun. That's what it's all about. That's the only reason why we're doing is to have fun,
right?
And to learn. And
you just said it,
we're just trying. Oh, thank you for number 50.
Nice.
So man,
we're trying to.
You are a rock star, whoever you were.
We are trying to grow the channel and take it to the next level, everybody.
Yes, we are.
Please, if you're watching now or you're watching any other time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, and you will become a warrior with the 4 Horsemen. You are all warriors, okay? 4 Horsemen, Royce in the house. Eventually, I'll probably drop the Royce in the house. But, I thought I'd hang on to it for a little while because that's how people know me. Although it's not going to take long. People are catching up with what we've done here. We've got the 4
Well,
Horsemen
Royce,
now.
you've bumped quite ugly up to 50 people peak. From what I've been watching, and I haven't been keeping an eye on that. That's near record views tonight. You've got over 51. I think people are digging it, folks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And your retention is great.
I think we're gonna do well with it. I'm really glad I made the change. Like I said, Royce in the house for 5 years. It was never meant to be permanent. It was just, I have a bad habit of doing stuff like that. You know, it's like an email address has my first name in it. My business is Royce Construction. It's like, what the hell?
Well, you're right.
I mean, I think it's been holding me back in life, to be honest with you.
I actually always dug the title Royce in the House. I thought it was cool. When I would come over here,
it wasn't bad. Yeah.
On my streams, what I would do is I would say, I got to run at the speed of light to get over to Royce's house. You know, because that's what you got to do to be on Royce in the House. You know, I thought it was cool and all of that. I would suggest you go Royce in the House, the Four Horsemen, and then you can drop Royce in the House once it's established. That would be my suggestion.
Well, I did it in reverse, but
I could be wrong because look at the results tonight. You're doing real well here, man.
Well, I put a bunch of stuff on under the name, and the community tab in posts and things, explaining what I was doing and why. And so I was just trying to jumpstart it because I think you motivated me. You said, Royce, just make the change this weekend.
Yeah.
And I go, well, you know what? Why not? You know, why keep off and trying to dot all the I's and cross?
Well, the water wasn't going to get any warmer, Royce. Sometimes you just got to dive in. That was my suggestion. And just, you know, because we had talked so much about this. It sounded to me like you had a good plan going. And, you know, my suggestion, and we have already brought that out tonight, was we'll build it as we go along. You just kind of got the playing pieces in tonight.
Yeah.
Now comes the mythology of the channel, baby.
Yeah, well, that's right. And you know what? I think the Four Horsemen is a memorable name. Everybody knows that, the Four Horsemen, you know?
Yep.
People have different ideas. I mean, it comes from the Book of Revelations and all that, but we're not going there. We're just using parts of it to have fun with. Yeah.
I like the fact when I was creating that graphic, the Four Horsemen graphic, how we kept fine tuning it. You know.
Yes. Oh, I know. I was wondering.
I must have made 100 different versions of that.
I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I keep interrupting.
Yeah, you know, I made probably about 100 different versions of that graphic before we finally agreed to it. Because some of the first initial ones where we're sitting on the horses with electric guitars. You know.
Oh, I know. It looked like Three Amigos. Yeah. Chip. You know, Dan, I was actually, that was the very next thing I was going to bring up is all the time you spent on that. I kept wondering when you going to say, hey, I've got things to do, buddy.
Well,
I'm like,
I had nothing else to do.
Can you add flames down by the feet? Can you add this? Can you add that? And you explained to me, yes, I can change things, but it changes other things that I don't want them to change. And so you don't know exactly what you're going to end up with.
Hey, Royce?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I don't mean to break up your promotion and all, but I just thought of another band that was left off or that was invited but never made it to Woodstock. And it's got a bit of a Canadian connection. It's the band Steppenwolf. They were invited but didn't show up.
I didn't know that.
And then just think about it. Can you imagine 500,000 people singing Born to Be Wild at the same time?
They belong there too. That's right up there with Iron Butterfly, if you ask me. Yeah.
No, that's exactly right. Well, good point, that band crossed my mind when we were talking, you know, about Iron Butterfly. Crossed my mind. But anyways, hey, I'm going to say hi to Bill K. Haven't seen Bill K. Till more recently. And so anyway, you know, folks, it's getting late. It's 10 minutes after 8. Not late yet. But we're going to try to.
I'd like to add one more thing. You know.
Yeah, please do.
You know, because I've promoted bands and all that in the past for many years, and there was a promoter there. You probably heard of Bill Graham. You know, he's a well-known promoter. So he shows up at Woodstock, and I told you earlier how they didn't really plan on having food there. You know, there was a shortage of food.
Yeah.
So Bill Graham, thinking ahead, brought in a whole bunch of food.
Oh.
You know, but it was for the artist. And if you notice, right here in this green area, this is where the artists, hung out.
Gotcha.
And, Bill Graham had a huge cookout, so all the artists got to eat. And that was his way of networking. Because later on, he was able to use those artists that he helped feed during Woodstock, to help his business later on. So he was definitely a good promoter.
Yeah.
Hey, Royce, I did want to bring up one thing. I told you, or I let my audience know that I've been priced out. I'm not interested in the CD version. I've been priced out of the anthology as an LP. That it's just too expensive. But on my stream, I told people, gave you a couple of examples of albums that I can buy now that I'm not going to spend all that money. And I've decided, as viewers already know, and as you already know, I've already ordered the live Led Zeppelin album, but I wasn't going to buy this one because I already just bought this one. But now that the Beatles are out of the picture, that third disc is enticing.
Right. Yeah,
Guess what's going to be my next order, folks?
I don't know.
By damned, I'm determined to have a good Christmas.
You are, right? Yeah. Well, that's
Thanks,
great,
I
Michael.
appreciate
you know
it.
what? I wouldn't even the anthology. I've never been interested, to be honest with you, because you've got the songs already. And you made a very good point the other day. You said they're remastered, but none of them are remixed.
Right.
And that's that combination that you get, that takes it to another level, remixed and remastered. So
you're getting, from what I know, 2 remixed tracks, which are the John Lennon tracks they redid as the three.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're getting 17 tracks from that belong to various tracks on 5 Beatle box sets, and 13 tracks of new material no one's heard of. And on LP, this is a 12 LP set. Do you know what that turns out to be? That's real close to one song that you've never heard per record, or
both sides,
2 sides.
I know. I heard you say that on your show, and it was like, great.
All for the amazing price of $400.
No, is that how much it is?
Yeah, 374, 374. Shipping, all of that. By the time it taps on your doorstep, I would imagine 400 plus bucks,
man.
right?
I mean, can't even,
And even if you can get it for a little less expensive than that. That's, of course, quoting the Beatles thing. Of course, with them, you get these photographs that are included in just if you buy it from the Beatles alone. Gee, 4 photographs. Oh, wow.
Well,
in an envelope. Ooh.
If I was going to spend even half that much, I'd go on eBay and buy Celebration Day.
Yeah.
Because you can buy unopened copies there that people bought up, when they were available. I've been a year and a half waiting for one I've already paid for from Merch Bar, and I keep saying I'm going to call up and substitute something else for it. And I'm on the contact list with Tower Records, and nobody. I've
never had good results from Merch Bar at all.
Everybody says that. I wish I'd have known that sooner.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just want to get them to swap it out with something at this point. But for $250, well, first of all, the 3 album set with the Blu-ray DVD of Celebration Day is like $50-something at Tower Records,
Yeah.
And you can still find it there, and you'll still see that price, but it's not available. So, but if you might have to spend $250 on eBay for an unopened copy, a little less for one that's been opened but is supposedly in excellent shape. So anyway,
well, and that's
I would buy that. I would buy that before the anthology any day of the week.
I could honestly see myself paying $250 for that before. I don't think I will, but before I would ever contemplate buying that. Now, the CD version, 8 CDs for $120 is a lot more reasonable. But we've already talked about how a lot of these have been already remixed for Apple and Apple lossless. And the whole CD experience for me these days. I don't like to put media in and it disappears and you control it by a remote control button. I'm old school. Baby, I want to go over, turn that album around and everything. So I'm not going to listen to CDs at home. I only listen to them in the truck. And guess what? That's not an album I want to hear in the truck. That's an album I want to hear in my room. So I'm looking forward to the release. It's a sad thing that we've got this thing, the thing that nobody asked for or expected instead of Rubber Soul. But I am now curious and I will listen to it from the safety of my own streaming platform, Apple Music. And I'll listen to it in lossless, and it will cost a fraction of what, $20 I pay a month.
Right.
Right.
Hey guys. Oh yeah, absolutely. White Monkey saying goodnight to everybody. But
I already said goodnight to him.
I have an interesting thing to say. When I first started the stream, I said something to White Monkey, whether it was just hi or whatever, maybe more than that. But YouTube took it down. All the lettering turned red, and they said they're having a problem with what I just said. All I can think of is they looked at White Monkey and thought that there was something racist about it. I don't know. Nothing else. Nothing else made any sense because it was a really generic.
What did you say, Royce? Good Lord!
If I thought I could find it.
You know, you've always been the most foul-mouthed individual on this panel. Quit staring at me.
Well, you know what? I've been one of the most foul-mouthed construction workers anybody ever seen for much of my life. But like I said, a friend of mine, I ran into an old guy, and he called me to sit down next to him in a restaurant. He taught me how to do finished carpentry. He goes, you've really changed. I'm like in my 20s, and he's like 70. I go, what do you mean, Russ? He goes, well, you used to have the foulest mouth of anybody I know. And it never
say that again, Royce. You were pulled off for just a half second.
I used to have the foulest mouth of anybody he ever knew. And what happened was I had 3 little girls at home now. And, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to be having all kinds of slips around them if I'm going to continue talking this way. So I just kind of cleaned it up with no regrets. And now that doesn't mean it doesn't still happen. It does. It actually happens a lot. It doesn't happen on the show very often. But anyway, go ahead, Dan.
Well, I'm a former Navy sailor, so I used to have a foul mouth that I cleaned it up over the years.
Are you saying there's some truth to cussing like a sailor?
See what I have to put up with, folks? I mean, look at these guys and their foul mouths. I feel like little old me doesn't belong up here.
Hey, Michael. Hey, Michael. I want to let you know, Michael, that I upgraded to.
I saw that, Dan. Thank you. Yes, Dan is a brand new tribal chieftain. I just saw that.
I saw that. Yeah.
I meant to shout you out, Dan, and I didn't make a copy of it. But yes, and I'll make sure that everybody knows that. The tribal chieftain portion will be getting some extra stuff here. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I'm riding a wild beast here, but thank you for the extra support. I'll make it worth your while ASAP, brother. I really will. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Jump in for 1 second.
Go ahead.
Just to put, maybe it's a not a very well, I don't know, maybe not a well-liked opinion of mine or whatever, but keep talking about all these goddamn anthologies and box sets. Jesus Christ, how many times do you have to hear the same music with a slight audio tweak for paying more and more and more?
No, I think it's ridiculous.
And these guys are sitting there on their golden horses just loving it. Oh, here, let's make a slight tweak to this song, and we'll make $100,000 off of that one, and then we'll just tweak the same song, and then we'll make $200,000. Fucking give me a break. Just put the music in.
That's 100% how I feel, Chris. 100%.
And I diverge from that by believing there are some recordings by some bands that deserve a contemporary remix. Especially when we know the Beatles story so well, that they were so hampered by their technology and what they would have done with that sound. Like instead of spending 2 days mixing for stereo, they would have actually gone in and spent. See, they didn't think stereo was going to catch on. They weren't impervious to making mistakes. So, like when we got Revolver, Sgt. Pepper, and the White House albums, especially, I say that's 3 boxes that are championing the counter to your argument, Chris, but less so with Abbey Road and Let It Be. There's a criticism they went too far there, and of course, you know what my concerns with the Red and the Blue album. So yeah, there is too much of this going on, but there's also, in other words, to me they should have just kept polishing the albums. But they're selling to a brand new crowd. They're not even selling to you, Chris, and you're the baby on the panel tonight. So they're definitely not selling to me. They're selling to a new generation of fans. They're selling the songs over the album artistic paintings that they created. Okay, that's where it is, right there, and it's sad. And I had a couple of people say this in the comments, but that Michael may have been one, Michael Boswell. It will be up to the next generation, and I think it was Michael. I agreed with him that there's the genie's out of the bottle. So that's where, and we talked about that at the beginning of this stream. That's where the older generation, those of us who know the story and everything and are willing to get up and talk about it, start to procure the established and respected Mona Lisa called classic rock and the other wonderful Starry, Starry Night painting of rock and roll in general, right? Yeah. Because that's what they are. They're artistic statements. So some of it's good, some of it's bad. So I kind of go between, the opposite and your side, I
think you're missing my point to some extent, though. And it's not that I agree with the reissues in that. I mean, I got every single Led Zeppelin reissues, and I love the bonus.
Okay, yeah.
But it's when you start putting out an anthology, a box set. It's reissue the original albums. If there's bonus, add a companion disc. But enough of it's repackaging all the same.
Yeah. You and I are in 100% agreement there.
Well,
absolutely.
I saw the other day where I'm not forgot how many years ago this was, but Ozzy had a box set, and I forgot how many albums were in this repackaged box set. But it had little collectible things in there, and they're numbered. Limited edition, and and it had his autograph, personalized autograph. I think it was over $2,000.
I remember seeing that. Then it disappeared, just like overnight, kind of a thing.
I think but now I wouldn't be surprised if they put it back out now because Ozzy's gone and things seem to increase in value. But
I've predicted we're going to see more Ozzy material for many years.
I've got Ozzy's autograph. I got Ozzy's autograph, and a lot of autographs that I have are people that have passed, and I'm seeing those values go way up.
Oh yeah,
just on autographs.
Right.
So I've got Ozzy. I've got Mark Farner's still alive, but Jim Lovell, the astronaut. I met Jim Lovell. I got his autograph. That's went up.
Oh yeah.
And several others. I just can't believe But the thing is, those are things I'm never going to cash in on. I'm going to leave it for my kids.
That's the thing. Yeah, I only have one autograph, and I'm not sure I even knew I was getting it. you remember the big Kiss fans that were on my show?
Yeah,
Oy Vey and the Wizard and all those guys. Well, they were making that Jason Herndon had a record plant. He worked at a record plant, but he had his own boutique record plant, and they were making all Slaughter stuff. And so I wanted a Slaughter double album, colored Slaughter album with an autograph, his autograph on it, Mark Slaughter.
I've got one of those.
Oh, did you get one too?
Yeah, I got one. Also, I got one from what's his name? The one he played Paul McCartney in Beatlemania.
I'm not sure.
Remember, he used to come on the show all the time. Mitch. Remember Mitch? He actually wrote a song with Kiss. Mitch.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah.
But during Beatlemania, he's the one that portrayed Paul McCartney. He looked just like McCartney.
Okay. Gotcha.
I told you folks, Dan went back a bit.
Yeah.
Well,
Bill K.
I actually did sound for, you talk about Spirit, you know, didn't show up for Woodstock. I actually did sound for Spirit one time. I did lights for Joey Molland from Badfinger. So yeah,
I'm jealous on that. He was, anybody in Badfinger, anybody who's met anybody from Badfinger, you know.
I always liked the autograph that Joey Molland gave me because I did lights that night, and he autographed my CD. He said, "I saw the light, Joey Molland."
Oh wow, cool.
See, I want to make one more comment. It's not necessarily about Woodstock, but it may as well be per se. Is obviously I was too young to make Woodstock, but I did make this particular concert. Most Canadian Rock in Toronto.
Okay.
That, at the time, was in the Guinness Book of World Records for the biggest crowd for a one-day festival of all time, and they sold 497,000 plus tickets. So it was literally not an estimated number. It was literally just about 500,000 people in a one-day show. There was over 20 bands. It was incredible. I mean, I was there. You could see people to the horizon all the way, except for the stage was and where all the setup behind me, like the food and the bathrooms and everything.
The largest concert I've ever been to was Texas Jam with 100,000 people, and that's big enough for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
People, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, I have only one way to describe it, and it's surreal. I can't think of any other word that fits. It's just surreal that many people are out.
Yeah, I was at the California Jam. What was that? 74, I think.
Yeah, 74.
And we had oh my God, we had Deep Purple, we had Black Sabbath, we had the Eagles. I mean, the list was just like insane.
Well,
there was, I think, 200,000 people, I think, at the Ontario Speedway.
Well, this show was the Rolling Stones, then AC/DC, Rush, the Guess Who, the Isley Brothers, Jim Belushi and Dan Aykroyd.
Rubber biscuits.
Yeah. And just, it was incredible. One of the bands from here in Windsor, the Tea Party, was there. But it was just great. Even Justin Timberlake was there. And I'm not a huge fan of his music, but I have a whole lot of respect for him. As he was brought in there, he goes, "Okay, I know this is not the venue that my music is usually popular at, but I'm 25 years old. I just got a request. You know, I just got invited by the Rolling Stones to come and perform at this concert." And he performed, but the fans were such assholes. They were throwing bottles of piss at him. And
who was this?
Justin Timberlake.
At
the Stars Fest. But at the same time, you know, I give him credit. He went out there, all this shit coming at him, and he finished his set. And he even said, like, he put his whole band up in the hotels, all out of his own pocket and everything. And then during the encore, when all that was over, Keith Richards had to yell at the crowd to stop throwing things up on stage at him. Keith Richards was actually becoming like a human shield to keep people from throwing stuff at Justin Timberlake during the encore when almost all the bands were on stage.
Right.
He should have offered, you know, if you don't throw stuff at him, you can throw up stuff on our next artist, and then offered him Britney Spears.
Well, the problem was they brought him out. I can understand him. Hey, you know, he was big at the time and everything, but they put him on just before the Guess Who. So there was four bands left. Everybody had been drinking out in the sun. I mean, there was people who had suffered sunstroke and everything that day. So you get everybody half cut by the time he comes on there, and then you expect everybody to accept him like that, but they should not.
Right.
Well, I will say one good thing about him. I have more respect from him than any other of that entire ilk of performers. Okay, at least he's a decent producer. He writes his own music, records his own. So now I don't care for his stuff, but he's got some grit. I do have to admit that. I'm not a big fan of New Kids on the Block, whatever the name, any boy band on the planet. I'm not a fan of Christina Aguilera or Britney Spears. I'm not a fan of all of that whole pop Mickey Mouse bullshit sound. But out of that group, Justin Timberlake's got some real talent, I have to admit. You know.
Right. No,
yeah,
he does. I mean, I'm with you, Michael. I don't listen to Britney Spears. I don't listen to.
It's just not
Taylor
my
Swift.
gig. If you like those people, fine.
Not my gig either.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to say here now, folks, is we are going to sign off. I want to thank everybody for joining our first ever The Four Horsemen podcast. There's no more Royce in the house. It is now The Four Horsemen. We have a theme. We're still the same channel when it comes to loving rock and roll, loving classic rock, heavy metal. We love all of that, including some newer rock. And I have other playlists as well. There's other things there for you to look at. But if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button right now and hop aboard. Hit that notification bell for a one-time notification, so you'll know when the next show is coming up. So anyway,
we're only 42 away from the next bump up, folks.
Oh.
Yes, hit that like button, everybody. That gets us moving out there. And this is the third week in a row we've come away with the 50, which keeps us going. And we kept going the last 2 weeks pretty strong, because
I want to thank everybody who's saying good night here. Wonderful show. So many of you. There's no time to go through all these, but man, every one of you guys made it work tonight. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
And before you cut out, Royce, I want to tell you that I appreciate and I'm honored that you let me to be the first co-host and the
perfect
horse with no name. But
you earned it. I love that horse with no name thing you came up with too. That was awesome. No, you earned it, and we appreciate you.
More than so. Yes, I couldn't think of a better first chair.
First person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Chris.
thank you, Chris. And
tons and tons of respect, my man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Same for you guys as well, believe me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See, it's such a love fest up here, folks. Aren't we cute?
Coming from the 50-year-old.
Let me just say thank you once more to Michael and Dan, because they did help me a lot throughout the week. I was probably going to spend a few weeks doing this, getting it ready to do, and Michael said
push play,
launch it. Yeah, push play, launch it this week. And I'm like, okay. But I really had to rely on Dan a lot too, because we kept modifying that picture, and we'd modify it, and like Dan was saying, it's well, the nice thing was all the pictures I could find were copyrighted. They would say at first they weren't, but then you'd go to them and you had to kind of subscribe, and you might get a few the first month for your first $30 or something, and it's like, I just didn't want to go there. So for you to be able to do your AI thing and get me something we liked, that was amazing. Michael didn't get his skeleton faces. He wanted skeleton faces. And I don't have a problem with that. I thought that was kind of cool. I had pestered Dan like 10 times a day to make changes on that. I kept waiting for him to say, I've got a wedding to go to or something for the next 3 days.
I only spent about 5 hours on it. So
Well, the more I looked at just the blackened robe with no feature, I liked it better because what is underneath that robe?
Yeah, there you go. I like that
sense of mystery.
Right. Well, one of these days we'll take some of the first pictures that would look like minstrels on horses with guitars and put them on a pole or something and have people vote. Those are hilarious. I wasn't doing a good job of explaining what I was looking for there. Okay, everybody. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Once again, thank the co-host. Really appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. And we're going to sign off. And that's what's happening in the Four Horsemen show tonight. Thank you so much.
Good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.